music, culture,
arts, crime, politics, and romance. These are some of the topics and issues people care about.
Well, on Talk PM, we care about these issues too.
So, tune in to Talk PM on Wednesdays with your gentleman host, Matthew V. Thomas
and Kanai McCarthy
on AM 1000.
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Don't miss the opportunity
to discuss the matters that are affecting you.
This is Talk PM. U.S. Virgin Islands, you're listening to Caribbean's news, talk, weather, and sports station. Online, on air, WVWI, AM 1000, the new Radio 1. Talk PM. It's the hour of 7 o'clock. And we are your gentlemen hosts. This is Talk PM.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the host, Radio 1, its staff, or sponsors of the broadcast.
Richard Macmillan, he wrote an interesting poem, and I just want to read it as he tries to describe what men are. I know what men are. Men drink and are routinely unfaithful, can't see beyond their groin, or are bold, sweaty, and frightening. I know what men are. Men drive fast cars, will kill for the sake of shoot off their mouths. I know what men are. Men are insane, out of control, vicious, vainglorious. No. I know what men are. Real men are the ones that don't buy the magazines that say these things. Don't go down to the pub for a mindless drink. I know what men are. Men cuddle babies and can stand up for themselves in fights. Men are prepared to challenge. Men will go the extra mile. Men like emotions, machines, stars, buildings, women, love, fishing, staying at home. Men are not monsters. I know what men are. Men like to be involved. They like passion and commitment. Men like little children. They know how to tell a story and create dreams. Men are brilliant. I know what men are.
Good evening, everybody out there. Welcome to another edition of Talk PM, where we have refreshing evening talks with your gentlemen hosts, Kanai McCarthy and Matthew V. Thomas. Our calling number tonight is 774-8255. That number again is 774-8255. This show we have prepared for you this evening is titled Men, the Role Played in Society.
Another interesting topic that I know a lot of individuals can identify with.
Children learn more from what you are than what you teach. That quote was authored by American sociologist, historian, civil rights activist, author, and editor, to name a few, W.E.B. Du Bois. And I'd like to add that there is a reason why the saying, actions speak louder than words, is still so very popular today. Now, wouldn't you agree?
Most definitely. I think what you just said about actions and everything, that should be sort of evident as we talk about men in society, as we look at them as the more dominant, or we will see if that's how everybody agree.
So, listening audience, my question to you is, what is your definition of a man, a real man at that? Some may say that a man is a man when he has reached a certain age. Some may say a man is a man when he has moved out from under his guardian's roof. And some believe that making a certain amount of money is attaining manhood. The previously mentioned may be part of being a real man. However, it takes way more than that to rightfully fill such a role and to be considered a real man. And I'd like to see, where have the abundance of real men gone? I was first going to say, where have all the real men gone? Period. But then I was like, that would be so unfair of a question due to the fact that I know of a few great men who have been very influential in my journey of life and discovery thus far. I thought about it and I decided to pose a slightly different question. Where have the abundance of real men gone? It's no doubt that our society has many male figures who continuously disregard the power they possess in regards to the village required to raise a child. A community of wayward adolescents is partly due to this continuous cycle of disregard within our male man demographic. And if you notice, I said real men. I say real in the very aspect regarding the fact that the law signifies a man has become a man solely based on the inevitable changing of his age. So a boy transitions into a man by default. However, to be a real man takes effort. courage, sacrifice, and support.
But as we talk about men in society, you grew up with a father in the home, correct?
Correct.
And so do you think now, because you had that father in the home, he guided you to be a next great man in the society? And maybe that's where we have lost that foundation, because a lot of the homes don't have the men.
Definitely, even on a subconscious level, because as a young boy, watching my father do what he did when it came to running his business, not understanding what business was about, but just seeing his drive and demeanor. As I got older, I kind of connected the dots and I emulated that. It does something. Having somebody there to relate to that is within reach, it does do something. I grew up in a place. I was no different from the person whom are in prison or who have numerous kids who are pregnant, who have given up on life. I'm no different from them. The only real difference is that I had a focus that I wanted to get to, and I maintained that focus. Have ourselves a caller, so let's take our first caller.
Just to respond to a gentleman next to you about a real man, I hate that word too because it's fictional.
The reason that we said that we want to differentiate real from just man is because you automatically become a man by law. But a real man, as I said, it takes effort, courage, sacrifice, and support. It's something that you have to be cognizant of.
It's more than just the age. What things do you do that make you be regarded as a man of society?
Similar to having a sandwich and having a gourmet sandwich. You know the difference. You can't just label everything as sandwiches.
That is true. Yeah, man. It's enough for listening to you guys. You guys have a good night.
All right, thank you, caller.
As I was saying, to be a real man, and the caller was saying we shouldn't put any special title, but I think it's necessary. Facing the loss of a loved one is one of the most difficult realities to grasp. During this emotional period, we understand how hard it can be for families to do proper maintenance towards that grave or memorial.
At Grave Care Virgin Islands, we offer premier burial and memorial maintenance services. We are ready to assist you if you are unable to do so yourself.
Call us today at 340-643-8898 and also visit us via webpage at gravecarevi.com.
Music, culture,
arts, crime, politics, and romance. These are some of the topics and issues people care about.
Well, on Talk PM, we care about these issues too.
So, tune in to Talk PM on Wednesdays with your gentleman host, Matthew V. Thomas,
and Kanai McCarthy
on AM 1000.
Every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Don't miss the opportunity
to discuss the matters that are affecting you.
This is Talk PM.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast already in progress.
A man is strong. Men are strong both physically and mentally. A man's mental strength is not defined in times of triumph, but in times of failure. It is only when pushed to near breaking point does a true man become defined. Does he quit or does he get up and try again? Does he let himself be suppressed or does he rise to free himself from defeat? A man is decisive. A good man takes the time before he acts. His emotions do not decide his fate, but rather his mind, and when he comes to a conclusion, he sticks with it. A man is confident, never to be deterred. A good man follows the beat of his own drum. He knows the path he is on will lead him to where he wants to go. He does not let the questions of others bombard his mind or make impressions on his heart. A man knows when to admit his mistakes and own up to them. Even good men make mistakes. The test of a good man comes in how he makes up for the mistakes he has made. Does he repent and ask forgiveness from those he has harmed, or does he shy away in shame at what he has done? A man is responsible. A good man is not only responsible but also takes responsibility for his actions. He can be trusted to live by his word, and in times of his shortcomings, he does not simply brush it off. A man is kind. A good man does not play with a person's emotions and make sure that his intentions are made clear. He gives and helps where he sees a need. A man is a protector, never to be toyed with. A good man does not back down when loved ones are in danger. And finally, a man understands a woman. The true test of a man comes in his daily interactions with the one he calls his own. He knows her deepest secret and delves into the dark parts of her heart. A man knows and understands that without fully understanding the woman he is with, that any relationship between the two will fail. And this is Clara Cluna's definition of a man.
So Matthew, I'm 45 years old. I have 5 kids with 5 different women. I'm unstable in my places of employment. I don't look after my kids well. Are you looking at me and then saying, despite of my age, I'm still not a real man?
Definitely.
We have a next call on the line?
Yes, we'll take one more and then we'll get back into our discussion.
That's fine.
Hello, good night, caller.
Hi there.
Good night, caller.
Did I hear somebody said that he has 5 kids with 5 different women?
that was hypothetically speaking, and we were about to get into that.
You know, based on the standards of society, that individual is not taking care of the children. Would we describe him as not being a man? Because of the standards, he's not living up to them. We can't classify him as a real guy.
Let me answer that and then I'll have the input from the caller. In regards to that, nobody is perfect. Sometimes things happen. It's what we do when we're faced with reality. Now, if that person is making an honest effort to see his kids, a lesson can be learned from that. That yes, past is the past. You can't change it, but you can affect what is the present. And if he's making an honest effort, trying to be a good role model, his kids can learn from that, and they can learn. But if he's just blatantly not taking care of them, and he can, or maybe he might not have the money to support them, but he can give them his time, you can do something in a situation, and that's my view on it.
Yeah, but you make mistakes, right?
Yes.
We all make mistakes, and I think maybe one mistake is a mistake. When you make 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 children, to me that's wrong. I consider him a man when he gets married, raise his own family, and you don't have another affair while you're married. And this cultural thing, the way we live here, we can stop that.
I like the description that you use to describe men.
Yes.
The ones that are married.
We don't live in a perfect world, and
Well,
sometimes
we have to forget the perfect world. We have to live for ourselves and live with God in our mind.
For instance, let's say somebody did not know religion, and they had 3 females pregnant, and then all of a sudden they look to change. They can still be what is considered a real man because they accept their faults, and they try and make better change and reach people. You have people, motivational speakers, who was in the streets, who commit murders, who was in prison, and then they come around and be a testament to deter others from going that route. It's never too late.
It's never too late. You know, you're right about that. But my point is, you meet someone, you're dating them, you like them, you get married and raise a family. Sex becomes a pastime. And we need to change that, though. We can still change it.
Thank you. Again, we have people who don't have that guidance and they're just doing whatever. For instance, I would be wrong to myself and untrue to myself if I didn't go the path that I saw growing up with my father. My father was married to one woman, 7 kids for one woman. He never walked out of my mom.
So you're going to take a lot of those values that he brought to
I had conversations with females and they say, oh, you'll be just like the others. And I said, the difference between me and the others is that I have an example. I'm not just whispering sweet nothings in your ear. I have an example. I know what it takes to stay with a woman.
You're a different caliber of a man. You're almost
I'm
a
a
real
different
man.
piece of cloth. These other guys perhaps never saw a father figure stay with one female for a long duration of time. It was uncle seeing Shirley, Susie, and Margaret, and they're seeing this as acceptable. So let's take another caller. Good night, caller.
Good night, caller.
How you doing?
All right.
You young guys take a big bite. But let me start with because of the seasoning that they had to undergo when they were taken from the motherland, beaten, submitted to name change and religions and way of life. Where they gone? They gone on the wayside because of the influx of drugs put into the neighborhood. But the deck has been stacked against the black man. So that's where men have gone.
Okay, thank you,
caller. Good information there from the caller.
Let's take another caller. Good night, caller.
Yeah. I was listening to a lady just a while ago. I don't think sex is the problem. I think it's just the way men go about things. And women are to blame too. There are things out there to protect yourself for having children. Contraceptive, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think sex is necessarily the problem because nowadays...
It takes 2 to tango, basically.
But wait. No, we talk about men in society, and let's go back to what we think the foundation and how men are held in high esteem of our society. So now the young lady is holding her man in high esteem and she's expecting the best from him and expecting him to do everything proper and righteous to her. So maybe she's at that point contemplating, okay, this guy is gonna knock me up and leave me. So she's giving her all to this young guy and trusting this man. So now it's really the man's responsibility. At the end of the day, we have to take the responsibility as leaders in our society. Our women are looking up to us, and so we have to take our responsibility now that we're gonna do as best as we can because that's what our women are expecting from us. So we may look at it and say, okay, women are to blame too. But if you really look intricately at it,
subconsciously they're given that.
Yeah, they're looking up to the men. So they're expecting, okay, my man is going to do all of this. He's a man. He's going to do everything. And so I don't have to worry about it. So maybe in the world that we live now, they should be extra cautious, but they're still looking at us as men.
And subconsciously, that could be the issue too. They may be strong and independent and have a head on the shoulders, but then they still put the guy as the head of household. Hello, caller. Are you still there? I think you got disconnected. Good night, caller.
Good night.
Circumstances sometimes dictate the way a person reacts. If there's a delinquent young person, there's two negligent adults, and then you follow the train. How did these people become like that? It is because, and I blame the education system.
All right, thank you once again, caller. Let's take another caller.
Yes, I'm calling back. You know Kevin Krieger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We just celebrated over the weekend here. I understand he's not married, and he may have a child or children with a woman. So this is an example where I'm saying it's a cultural thing. You just have children, and okay, so you shack up with the one that you have the children with. To me, I would have respected him more had he been married. And I don't know if you know that he's not married.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Thank you for your call.
To address several things, we had two callers back to back. Where do I start?
We have a call on the line?
Okay.
Let's
I guess this is the last one because we have to wrap up. Good night, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen. I had to hesitate before he called and after hearing the last caller. Did any of y'all understand her point?
Yes, I understood her point.
So then as long as you say you're married, you could be a drug lad, you could be gay, anything, but married is just a password.
It's more to it than just certain things put in place. I understand where she was coming from, but I also saw some flaws in her point.
Yeah, but that's some kind of small-minded, man. I mean, to me, it's like you could say you're a Christian, not just your password.
Yes, correct.
But you really is a devil, you know what I mean? But you can just say, anything that sounds so sickening, man. Hey, look, it's like Bob Marley say, it's only a barking dog, the bark at a flying bird, Foolish dogs, man. I gonna listen to y'all, man.
All right, thank you for calling with
Thank you, caller.
Facing the loss of a loved one is one of the most difficult realities to grasp. During this emotional period, we understand how hard it can be for families to do proper maintenance towards that grave or memorial.
At Grave Care Virgin Islands, we offer premier burial and memorial maintenance services. We are ready to assist you if you are unable to do so yourself.
Call us today at 340-643-8898 and also visit us via webpage at gravecarevi.com.
Music, culture,
Arts, crime, politics, and romance. These are some of the topics and issues people care about.
Well, on Talk PM, we care about these issues too.
So, tune in to Talk PM on Wednesdays with your gentleman host, Matthew V. Thomas,
And Kanai McCarthy
on AM 1000.
every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Don't miss the opportunity.
to discuss the matters that are affecting you.
This is Talk PM.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast already in progress.
Richard Macmillan, he wrote an interesting poem, and I just want to read it as he tries to describe what men are. I know what men are. Men drink and are routinely unfaithful, can't see beyond their groin, or are bold, sweaty, and frightening. I know what men are. Men drive fast cars, will kill for the sake of shoot off their mouths. I know what men are. Men are insane, out of control, vicious, vainglorious. No. I know what men are. Real men are the ones that don't buy the magazines that say these things. Don't go down to the pub for a mindless drink. I know what men are. Men cuddle babies and can stand up for themselves in fights. Men are prepared to challenge. Men will go the extra mile. Men like emotions, machines, stars, buildings, women, love, fishing, staying at home. Men are not monsters. I know what men are. Men like to be involved. They like passion and commitment. Men like little children. They know how to tell a story and create dreams. Men are brilliant. I know what men are.
Before we make certain statements, we need to sit back and really kind of look at it from all perspectives. As the caller said about the horse Jackie, that he didn't do this aspect, so she didn't have that respect for him. But, we all are not perfect. And the fact that he is still doing something great, he can still serve as somebody's role model or example, because that's his personal life. I didn't know his personal life. at all. Sometimes some individuals, we don't know their personal life, and that's fine, because not everybody's personal life you're supposed to know about.
But it was for that reason.
And if you do know their personal life, perhaps there's a story behind of it, because maybe they were engaged to be married and something happened. You never know the whole story, so you can't be too quick to judge.
Well, it was for that reason that I mentioned afterwards. She called that I wouldn't have personally made that be the deciding factor to say he's not a man. Marriage is one factor, but there are a lot of other variables that make that complete set to describe an individual as a real man in your term.
In regards to what I'm saying about a real man, it may be shaky because more than one caller said that it's like the term. But in regards to saying a real man, it's about responsibilities. It takes a village to raise a child. You move accordingly, or you perform within that village accordingly. If you see something that is wrong, you take the time out to counsel that child to come back from his wayward ways. You don't take advantage. You don't purposely take advantage of people, because you have the little ones who are watching. So in regards to being real, the term can be used very loosely. But when I say real, I mean that you make an honest effort to sacrifice and support
and definitely
the upcoming generation.
Yeah, definitely.
So they can be better. So they can stay on the right path instead of going down the path of drugs and going down a path that is not looked at favorably when it comes down to society. That's all that I'm saying when I say real.
As it relates to the second caller.
And that takes effort.
Uh-huh.
You have to be cognizant that you have little ones watching. So that's all I'm saying when I say real.
The second caller.
And in regards to the second caller, yes, about the jockey not being married.
I don't know if I would have said. I mean, I just say everybody has their own opinion, but I think a young man can be responsible and live up to your standards of a real man without actually having that ring on his finger, that paperwork that says he's married. I don't think that should be a descriptor
it's not too late for him.
To demoralize an individual to say they're not a real man.
There's different aspects, because the fact that he made it that far,
he can be a model.
Because of that aspect, somebody can say, you know what, I can be persistent when it comes to my dream, and I can make it to the top. So that aspect of it, nobody can be blemish free. You know, everybody got little skeletons in the closet, as holier than thou they may
act.
I
think that would make the perfect definition of a real man, that even though he has flaws, he's still able to be a good example to those around.
That's what makes it. You accept your responsibilities for what it is. You may have 5 kids for 5 different women, but if you now come to your senses, similar to those motivational speakers who had crimes and murders and stuff like that, and they say, you know what, that wasn't the way. Similar to that guy Camacho from Golden Grove Correctional Facility, who wrote the letter to the editor and said that this is not the way. You know, I'm trying to reach these people so that they don't come down this route. He is a real man. He turned golden when he realized and accepted his responsibility, and in that aspect he can serve as a testament. We already have so many ills in society. The best person to reach somebody down that wayward path perhaps is only him, because now somebody could say, well, you know where I've been, you was there before. Similar to rational reflections, if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would it be? Don't do drugs. Stay in school. Pick up a book. Read. Change the 5 friends that you spend the most time around, because you become an average of the persons you spend the most time around. So that's all I'm saying. Krieger, he's a role model. Yeah, he may not be blemish free, but he can definitely reach somebody. He could change somebody's lifestyle and say, you know what, could make it to the top. So nobody's perfect. Nobody's blemish free. But we can't take charge of our reality, of our present. We can make the most of it. That's all this is about. Making the most of the situation in a responsible way.
You know, Matthew, there is a book by Dr. Phil McGraw, a psychologist and author, of course, and he categorizes men. Let me say it this way. A man should have these 4 variables, especially as a leader of his home. He says he should be a provider, a protector, a leader, and the last one I think I favor a lot is being a teacher.
Children learn more from what they see than what you teach them. So in reference to being that teacher, he needs to be a teacher of action.
And even as a provider, Mr. McGraw is saying, you know, it's more than just pennies. He says a man should also contribute to the emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental well-being of his family. In order to do this, he must recognize that there are other currencies in addition to money that need to be provided. So you have to be that holistic individual. It's more than just that going out to work, doing the 12 hours a day and paying the bills for your home. You still have to be beyond that, because I mean that's the situation with a lot of parents nowadays. They're out working, and who's home to mind the child and ensure that the child is really learning the values that they should as they are growing up.
For instance, you might have a gentleman working, providing for the child. Means to provide a roof over his head, provide private school. But is he the best father that he can be? Because a child doesn't just need the means to survive. A child needs attention. You need to invest time in that child. You need to balance it out. Similar to how you have to work, you need to invest time into that child. That's the responsibility of being real. Both are needed. You have young kids who've had everything for them, and then they go wayward because they don't have that emotional bond. So money and alcohol to them fixes issues, and it never does. You need that emotional connection. And that's where I find it detached in our community. And as far as it being a cultural thing, it's a generational curse that we can break. We are the change we want to see. And even though we still falter, we can still serve as a testament in our actions. Our actions speak louder than words. I can always use myself as an example because I grew up in a neighborhood where a lot of my friends who I went to school with are dead or in prison, and I didn't go down that route. The fact that I had a strong, supportive father there that used the rod when necessary, I came out okay. I have to credit my dad for being there, for me not going down that route. I'm doing pretty well compared to those I grew up with. And the only thing different was that they didn't have a father in the household, or at least someone of that aspect who would care, mother or father. They raised themselves.
As you talk about the fact that we should have our fathers in the home and they should be more than just paying the bills. It's fitting that I read this poem by Carmen Strong. It's titled A Father's Love. It says, it's a warm embrace or a quick hug, a glowing smile, and your wit and wisdom. A father's love is a walk in the park on a hot summer day, a drive in the car down that windy dirt road. A father's love is the poem written to a friend or daughter in the special words that come only from a father. A father's love is in fun times together, camping under the trees, enjoying a picnic, and walking through the leaves. A father's love is faith in his family, high hopes and dreams, and pleasure in doing whatever it takes. A father's love is a kiss on the cheek or a friendly handshake. My idol for life, I will treasure dearly.
As we wrap up, we would just like to say thank you for tuning in to Talk PM with your gentleman host, Kanan McCarthy and Matthew V. Thomas. And I would just like to thank the callers tonight because we had a wonderful call-in audience, and we really appreciate you, and we would like you to continue to call in and tell a friend to tell a friend because we appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
This has been Talk PM.
Dear God, I have a letter here from me to Dad, and I want to let you know my dear little sad. Dear God, a letter here from me to Dad, and I want to let you know it goes. Dear Dad, I really didn't get to know you, and sometimes I sit and wonder and it makes me blue. But there's one memory that stays on the back of my mind, and this memory got me thinking about you all the time. Whoa, I swear we miss you so, and I wish that you was there to see your boys grow. In case you're wondering, mommy, she's doing fine, and she tell me stories about you, papa, all the time. So when I'm down and out, lonely or just feeling blue, all I do, dad, is think of you. The thoughts alone erase my fears and dries my tears. I'm just writing to let you know someone cares. Yeah, I love you, really love you, Daddy. I miss you, and I know my brothers and sisters do too. Yeah, I love you, really love you. Dear Dad, I really didn't get to know you, and sometimes I sit and wonder and it makes me blue. But there's one memory that stays on the back of my mind, and this memory got me thinking about you all the time. Whoa, I swear we miss you so, and I wish that you was here to see your boys grow. In case you're wondering, mommy, she's doing fine, and she tell me stories about you, papa, all the time. So when I'm down and out, lonely or I'm feeling blue, all I do, dad, is think of you. The thoughts alone erase my fears and dries my tears. I'm just writing to let you know someone cares. Yeah, I love you, really love you, Daddy. I miss you, and I know my brothers and sisters do too. Yeah, I love